What's up everyone, Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have an album review for you. So another one that came out on the 24th of September was the newest one from Veilburner. Lurkers and the Capsule of Skull. I have no idea what the hell that means, but it sounds creepy and ominous, and that pretty much captures what this band is about. This comes out on Transcending Obscurity Records. This band formed in 2014 in Pennsylvania, and this is a two-man blackened death metal act that loves dissonance and strange soundscapes, and we're going to definitely get into that. But I figure at least get into the two gentlemen involved in here, which I believe this is the only act they're in. I believe the singer might have another project he's in, but the multi-instrumentalist Mephisto Delitero and vocalist Crimson Infernium. Great names, and yeah, looking at pictures of them, they definitely like a lot of interesting look to them. It's not like really a straightforward like black metal look. It's, I don't know. I'm gonna be drawing some comparisons to Portal, but not necessarily. But in terms of bands I think this band is close to, that might be one. Kind of like Portal, this band kind of thrives on unconventional song structure and riff structure in general. Now you do get like pretty straightforward, like catchy blackened death metal riffs on here, but there's always something in the atmosphere or in the music or in a melody that is just out of left field completely. The opening track, In the Tomb of Dreaming Limbo, starts off with waves and building dissonance, and then it just kind of freaks out. Now I gotta go into the vocals in here. The vocals in here are a huge part of the atmosphere because they are absolutely insane. Whether they be growls or screams or howls into the void, there might even be like a clean section in there. I don't know. It's all very strange. They kind of follow their own little meter and just, I don't know, navigate you through hell. There's a wide array of effects on them. Most of the time it kind of sounds like, you know, the Tasmanian devil with laryngitis, but also, you get some spots in here where there's some real interesting synthesizer effects in the vocals. It kind of sounds like Lawnmower Man, if anyone's familiar with that movie, just kind of how he talked in the cybernetic world of whatever the fuck that movie was about. I still have no fucking clue. But if I were to compare him to an actual extreme metal singer, it kind of reminds me a lot of Attila. Attila's very dramatic delivery and mayhem, he kind of echoes that a bit. Now musically, again, wall-to-wall dissonance, but hooks. There is a breakdown in this opening track that is probably one of the more normal moments on here. It just kind of drives this really cool, catchy riff, and it's not particularly like dissonant and ugly. It's just kind of straightforward and catchy. And those moments on this album are kind of hard to pick out because you are being greeted with musical chaos across this entire thing. But this kind of screamed just a straightforward death metal moment. There's a really interesting lead melody on top of it, and then the title track just opens up like a Morbid Angel track, like big, heavy, deep tremolo riffs. Weird dissonant tag on the end of it, and kind of like a stop-start sort of thing, but it's a little bit more straightforward than a lot of the other stuff in here because the guitar work on here is just sort of strange. Though, I have to say at the same time, they can craft some really interesting hooks, which is something that, again, I didn't really get with Portal, and I'm fearful if I say their name enough times that they'll probably show up and just rip me to shreds. They'll probably just pop out of the speaker behind me. I'm gonna chance it. But that was kind of the thing on here. Like, as much as I could compare this to Portal in terms of just being chaotic and strange and all about creating an uncomfortable atmosphere, these guys are, I think, a little bit more musical, or at least their approach is to actually create some hooks in there, like some memorable songs, versus Portal, I think, is to open a portal to some nightmarish hellscape and let, you know, whatever Lovecraftian creature crawl through and murder us all. Reasonably sure that's what Portal's about. The song Para Opaque actually opens up with just an isolated bass track with really strange ambient sort of like synth hums. I don't know, it's kind of disturbing and jarring, but the bass line is very catchy. It actually sounds kind of Toolish. And it's interesting because the drums are kind of in the back of the mix, and these ambient synths are kind of in the front, but that bass line kind of carries it, and there's some weird guitar melodies. It's almost like hellish stoner metal. And then you get kind of these, I don't know, groaned vocals with a lot of reverb on them. As much as I like the very dramatic vocal approach on this entire album, I think this was a track probably where if you took the vocals out, you wouldn't harm the track in the least, and honestly, it would kind of work as just a strange instrumental. But at the same time, with the vocals, you kind of get this satanic ASMR sort of feel, like let's just whisper delicately in your ear all the evil, spooky things. Again, it's kind of like just a strange atmospheric sort of listen, but it also kind of appeals to like people that like technical metal, because there's a lot of really cool technical flair on here in terms of like, again, song structure and riff structure and time signature changes. This album is wild. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness sort of listen, where I think they just kind of went where the music naturally took them, which obviously was right to the doorsteps of hell, but I'm not sure if they actually knocked on the door or not, because they still wanted to get this thing out, so can't go there quite yet. Now, one of my favorite songs on here was Cursed, Disfigured, Amen. This song runs the gamut of so many different wild styles. There's definitely a big black metal feel on it, but this one actually has some more quiet moments, which are just as disturbing as the loud ones. And honestly, it brings in some industrial elements, and with that sort of blend of like blackened death metal and industrial stuff, like it kind of reminded me of Skinny Puppy, except with death metal in it. And that kind of works with like the stream of consciousness sort of vocals, because they, again, have their own strange meter. And if you ever listen to Skinny Puppy, Ogre is just kind of doing his thing, and then, you know, the music kind of tries to follow him, or does follow him. Skinny Puppy's weird, is what I'm saying, but I love him. And this kind of has that sort of feel to it. And the songs An Odyssey Through Cataclysm and Nocturnal Gold actually have some cool kind of thrash metal sections. They're kind of little small pockets of it in between all the insanity, but it was kind of interesting to hear that. Plus, I kind of like that weird atonal lead that is on Nocturnal Gold. It is tuneful, but it's not. And that was kind of a thing with this whole album. Like, there were hooks in here, but they're strange. Like, they deliberately took like a really nice melody and then twisted it. The best example of that would be the very beginning of Vault of Haunting Dissolve. Legit, probably one of the catchiest melodies on the entire album. It opens up with a really cool guitar harmony. And then as it keeps going, it kind of gets a little bit more strange. And then, of course, it just explodes into their standard brand of insanity. But then it kind of shifts into, I don't know, Blackened Melvins. There's a weird sort of sludgy, like groovy bounce to that song that is just odd, but it works. But those harmonies at the beginning really struck me just because they are very catchy. Like, they're not dissonant really, and it provides this really interesting hook, though it's not repeated really. They are able to craft this stuff. They just usually don't, and I kind of appreciate that, because it's, I don't know, like an odd listen. They want to be odd, but they also want to be catchy, and I kind of like them trying to straddle that line, which they do a pretty good job on here, because, again, there's really catchy sections on here, but you have to sift through a lot of frantic, weird, but hyper-aggressive stuff. The fact that this is so like off-the-wall, kind of avant-garde, unorthodox, unconventional, on a lot of things, but it still tries to find those catchy moments in there and deliver some really memorable sections. I just feel like, you know, they wanted to keep their listeners from drifting into the blackened, cursed void that they recorded this album in. And, you know, might as well talk about the production. The production here is really good. They know how to layer this stuff really well. And I like how they'll push certain things in the front of the mix and then other things in the back of the mix, and kind of do that periodically through songs. And it's really interesting to hear the use of clean melodies on here. Well, all right, melodies, because they're dissonant and ugly. But the fact that, you know, they're in there so much instead of just, you know, blistering heavy dissonant guitars all the time. Like, there's a lot of dissonant cleans on here. And I don't know, like, the whole album has this very strange atmosphere. It feels evil, but it's engaging. I was always excited to hear the next track on this. And unlike Portal, I kind of feel like I get this more. There's more of a musical edge to this. and it's actually riffy and still remains haunting and strange and just sort of an oddity, but I like it because I think they really crafted some interesting songs in here, and this is the first I've ever heard of this band. I literally saw them on Transcending Obscurity's YouTube channel. I decided to jam a track, I forget which one, but it had an impact, and I wanted to review this because this is just some really, really, really strange shit, but it's really good. So overall, I'm gonna give this 4 stars. This is a wild listen. Do not go into this expecting to find much else than dissonant, crazy melodies, but if you dig deeper in this, there's a really cool sort of layering on here in terms of dissonant melodies to create quasi-accessible melodies. This isn't like, you know, first level sort of like blackened metal. Like, this is definitely some advanced level stuff just in terms of accessibility, melody, songwritings. It's very strange, it's very cathartic, but it's very engaging. I really dig all the elements they brought into this just to create this wild album. It's pretty much perfect for Halloween season. Like, you can play this and generally freak out people, I'm pretty sure. But who knows, they might actually like it because this band actually does craft some pretty killer hooks. So I strongly recommend checking out this release. I'm gonna go back and actually check out their older releases when I get a chance. Be warned, this is a weird one, but it's a really fun one to listen to, and yeah, I strongly recommend checking it out. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you would like to help us out there will be a link below in the description. There will also be a link to our giveaway. Once we hit 7,500 subs, which we are almost at 73, and that is truly remarkable. Thank you guys so much for helping us out. We really appreciate that. But once we hit that mark, we are going to give away a stack of 8 CDs with the new Cannibal Corpse in there. All you have to do is comment on that video. So get in on that one, because again, almost at 73, so this is going to happen relatively soon, I would assume. We also still have shirts available, mostly down to extra larges, maybe a XXX or 2 or 3, maybe a small. Either way, if you would like one or know someone that would like one, hit us up on thrallswithmetal@gmail.com, send us a message with the word shirts in it, and we will get back to you, get you an invoice, and get you a shirt. So with that, I thank you all once again for watching, and we will catch you later.